Welcome to the Faces of Our Cities podcast. I'm your host, Jesse. Today, we are going to be talking with Emily Harsh. Emily is a people connector. I met Emily via LinkedIn. Her and I worked at the same company, but we had never met each other. She lived in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and I was traveling to Cleveland, Ohio on a regular basis. Is it all right if I mentioned that? I guess I should have asked.
Absolutely.
It's all right that I... Okay, great. And a LinkedIn connection that we just kind of kept on kicking the can down the road, and then finally we said, let's actually meet in person. Let's find out what each other does. And by that time, you actually had already left the company that I was working at, and I was also actually headed out. So it's kind of funny how that works. Emily is just this super energetic, lover of human beings, and her energy was just so contagious. It was like one of the best lunch meetings I've ever had, and we weren't even meeting about anything like sales wise. And so, but I remember leaving that meeting just feeling just so filled up, full of energy and excited to want to explore what was next for me personally. So Emily, could you help me and the rest of the audience understand what is it that you actually do? Because I know that somebody's got to be footing the bill for you talking to all these people. So,
Well, thanks for that awesome introduction. I feel like that was a really warm, awesome introduction. But I know when we worked at the same company previously, it was such a large organization. There was 2,000 some people, and there really wasn't a whole lot of cross-team communication. Every team was kind of in their own little bubble. And I think, in a lot of different arenas, we can always learn from each other. And so when I initially reached out, I know you were kind of in a different area of the business I wanted to learn more about. And that's essentially what I do constantly. So, whether it's what I'm doing professionally or personally, I do work with Direct Recruiters, which is my current employer. I'm the director of diversity as well as the IT staffing manager at Direct Recruiters. I also have my own e-commerce platform focusing on health and wellness products, and again, connecting people to mentorship opportunities. So I'm always looking to connect people, again, whether it's to their next opportunity, to mentorship, whether it's filling any kind of skill gaps on their team. And I have a huge diversity goal, especially within, I made the switch to IT last year from the digital space, and one of the biggest things I noticed was the lack of women in IT. So I've been really reaching out to connect with a ton of women in the IT space, which really got me networking more on LinkedIn and, making different videos and focusing on different topics that I don't think are talked about very much.
I'm really interested in that part of your role as being responsible for diversity. I didn't realize that must be something somewhat new since when we met. Because when I was looking at that today, I saw that in your job title. Help me understand what some of the difficulties are of, attracting a more diverse workforce in the IT industry.
I think the biggest thing is really working with the clients and helping them understand that they need to create a more inclusive environment, because you can want to hire all of these great diverse candidates, but why would they want to come work for you if you haven't changed your environment to make it more inclusive? Because my title is pretty new within the diversity space. It's only been a couple months because I've been taking courses online and learning so much. And diversity is really just, a fun word to go with, like numbers, right? We need to hire a certain amount of numbers and stuff, but it's the inclusion piece that a lot of people don't really understand. And I think what companies don't really understand is, treating people how they want to be treated, and really understanding what's going to make them most comfortable in your work environment. So while the numbers piece is great and it's a good thing to have, the inclusion piece is really, really important. And so a lot of my conversations with my clients, because I work both internally and externally helping Direct Recruiters with our internal processes, practices, and things like that with inclusiveness, but really understanding the clients and helping them understand, what that looks like for them.
Are there certain things that you would maybe recommend people do in advance of meeting with you to talk about diversity and inclusion. First of all, I got to say, like, it's interesting that as from a recruiting standpoint, that you're bringing that to your client, right? Like, it seems to me that that would be a role that already exists in the companies that you're working with. Or is that true and you're just now helping them, or is it a role that those companies haven't hired yet and they are looking to a recruiting company like yours to bring in that expertise?
It's both, because I work with companies that are startups all the way to Fortune 500s. And, we work with a really awesome Fortune 500 company who's very specific in their goal around hiring veterans. And so I'm sure that there are multiple people within that company. It's a huge company that have that job title, but having another partner that's going to help in that regard is always going to be something that they're interested in because they're of the size of the corporation. And then there's other companies that are startups that just haven't really thought about it yet, or they have thought about it and they don't quite know where to start. So when I'm having those conversations, one of the first things I want to say is, what are your goals? What are your hiring goals around diversity? And really just kind of understanding the mindset behind it. Because like I said, you can have those numbers and it can look really great on paper, but unless you have that inclusion piece and that equity piece, it's really not going to be that awesome environment that you're looking for to attract those candidates.
Having your role, having someone like you supporting your clients, is that pretty common across recruiting in general? Or is that somewhat unique that your company has identified that as a need to bring to their customers?
I don't think it's been something that I've seen as super common. One of the things I love with working with DRI is that I've been given the opportunity to kind of create my own role. So if I'm seeing this opportunity, which I've seen this opportunity and kind of a lack of folks bringing this skill set in. And also just, again, my personal, drive and commitment, because again, when I switched into the IT world, I'm like, there's no women here. There's only like 25% women in the IT space. And that was kind of like my personal, like, well, we should fix that, and I'm in recruiting. I can actually do that, just that. I actually have a way of fixing that, even if it's in a small way. So I think it's something that, I've created, but also there's definitely been a need.
All right, well, let's get into the meat of this podcast. Are there certain things that you do, from organization to conversations that you have that keep you efficient throughout your day as someone who's juggling so many different things?
Yeah, so I used to struggle a lot too with organization and kind of busy work. And I think the biggest thing that I thought was really helpful for me was time blocking. So, specifically blocking out times on my calendar where it shows that I'm busy so that you can't call me or email me or interrupt me because I'm going to be focusing on this one task. But also really doing it, I think they call it eating the frog, and it's doing the most annoying thing of the day first, because then you're not putting it off all day long. So whether it's a call you have to make.
I've never heard of that. Is that a...
I don't remember where I heard the phrase eating the frog, but I remember hearing it and going, because have you ever like procrastinated something for like 6 months, and when you actually did it, it took like 11 minutes. And
oh, without a doubt, most of my life. Yeah, most of my life is like this giant frog right there. So
right, and you just spend so much time dreading it, and you spend more time dreading it than it actually takes to do the thing. And whether it's a call or putting together, like, I hate data entry of any kind. So like if I gotta log stuff, or if I've gotta, put in all my sales activity into our internal, so like I hate doing all of those things. So that's the thing I do first, so that I don't spend all day putting it off and then not doing it. So whether it's data entry, putting together reports for me, or whatever, or making a tough call if you have to, God forbid, terminate somebody or something like that, whether it's, a talent or someone internally, like those are the calls that you want to get out of the way, so that you don't spend all day like, because then it kind of ruins your day a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think,
without a doubt. Yeah. That's great advice, and I think I'm going to start using that phrase, eating the frog. Maybe I might actually like block like 30 minutes out of every single morning to eat the frog, and that's what I'm going to label it. I hope somebody that has access to my calendar sees that and is extremely disturbed by it. I think that'll be great. So,
I would love to hear the
cool.
reactions
Thank
that
you.
you get from that. Like, what is this? What is on
Yeah.
your calendar?
Right? Like, it just starts going around the office that, like, frogs
Jesse
are my
eats
normal
frogs.
diet or something, right? Like, I don't know. That's how I lost 15 pounds this month, you know? So,
Yeah, exactly. Just eat
um,
it.
so then tell me one, at least one, if you wouldn't mind, way that when people work with you or work with an organization like you or a company like yours, how do they save money? I think this is really key. I bring this up because it was something that I encountered a lot in the creative space, right? People came with their budgets, and then, you know, changes would happen, and there are multiple things that I was like, guys, like if we would do X or do Y, you wouldn't, or if you came to the table with X or Y instead of, you know, going around in circles, we could have saved you a ton of cash, right? And I think that the price tag for a lot of things are a large motivator, right? After we've emotionally engaged with our salesperson and we're totally sold on a company, if the price is way off, then we probably still might not be able to make that sale. So when you're working with clients, if you could tell your clients ahead of time to do something, what would that be that you would suggest to them to come to the table with that would make them, I guess, save money or save time throughout your whole process?
Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Move along as quickly as you can. Give us, so like when we give you a candidate, give us feedback right away. If you want to interview them, let's set it up right away. Don't set it up for next week. Don't, you know, if you can have time, even if it's 20 or 30 minutes to talk to that person, set it up. Don't take 2 weeks to come up with an offer letter. That person's going to be gone. They're not going to be available. We're going to have to start the search all over from scratch. They're going to have multiple offers on the table, and you're going to have to up yours to make it anywhere near as competitive. The market right now, not just in IT, but across recruiting in general, is insane. It's the busiest I think I've ever been in my career, which is a good problem to have, but I think hiring managers kind of need to catch up with the times a little bit, and you do not have the luxury anymore of thinking about it for a little bit to see if, you know, maybe they'd be a good fit, you know, and most of the time if you're working with an agency of any kind, there is some kind of guarantee, whether it's, you know, a contract to hire and you can try before you buy, or it's a perm placement, there's a 30, 60, 90-day guarantee involved. If you think that they're a fit, do not waste time, you know, trying to set up schedules or something. Just figure it out and move as quickly as possible, or you're probably going to lose them and you're going to lose money and you're going to lose time.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, Emily, thanks so much. I want to just quick pull up your LinkedIn. Are you all right with people after they watch this reaching out?
Yeah,
Wanting to
absolutely.
connect with you? I mean, anyone who wants to just improve their day, I feel like should do that. So Emily Harsh on LinkedIn, reach out to her, connect with her. If you get to have coffee with her, consider yourself blessed. I know I do. So
You're too
thank you
kind.
so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too, Jesse.